In this video tutorial, I will be walking you through how to perform a button stitch. Now, a button stitch is fairly simple, but there are a couple of steps that you have to remember in order to secure your button well. Begin by bringing your needle from the back to the front of your project, ensuring that you pull all remaining slack thread through your project each stitch in order to be sure that your button is secure. For your next step, you will simply drop your button with the top facing upwards in the position that you would like your button to rest on your final project. Once you begin stitching, the movement is much more difficult to adjust. Now the next couple of steps for your button will be repetitive but critical. You're going to run your thread circularly through the diagonal or straight across buttons 3 to 4 times to strengthen the stitch and ensure that your button will not loosen over time and that it will be securely attached to your project. And you'll see that it's a matter of practice getting your needle through each of those holes without struggling. You'll get better with that as you practice. And I'm just going to keep stitching. And once you get done with those 3 stitches from the first loops, you will switch directions and begin stitching from the opposite direction to also add 3 to 4 stitches in through those loops as well. If you are pulling through your thread each time that you perform a stitch, that your back will look nice and clean and it won't look like a jumbled slack of threads or a bird's nest on the back. And the same for the front. You'll see that all those stitches are nice and secure and they're carefully placed. The next step that you'll need to perform for your button is to create what's called a shank. And in order to do that, we're going to have to take our needle and push it out the side of our project underneath the button, but not underneath the fabric or felt that you're using. Now to create the shank, you're simply going to wrap your thread in a circle around what looks like a table, and that creates a nice tight stitch that your button is attached to. The next step, you are going to insert your needle through that lovely little knotted section, what is called a shank, and this is what we're going to do to knot our knot and create a nice secure tie for that button. If you forget this step, your button will slowly loosen over time and it's going to end up falling off. Sometimes it's a little bit tough to pull your needle through, but with patience and practice, you'll get better at it. You will pull your needle through the bubble that appears in your knot and pull that tight. Finally, you will just snip your threads and you have performed a button stitch.